I just finished off some bourbon. It's Thursday. We're about to do a little Thirsty Thursdays. It's been a long time since I've drank some beer and talked to you guys. That was stupid. Alright, I'm really excited to bring back the Thirsty Thursdays. Brick's really excited. It's really dark out here. Y'all probably can't see nothing. I guess I came right on time. I guess you can't buy alcohol at the Circle K after like 1 o'clock, I think. So. Ooh. I've been putting some Dave's hot sauce on my steak. Crying, dude. Whew. That's hot. Freaking hot. There. This got that ghost pepper. No joke. Welcome to another Thirsty Thursdays with your boy, Adam Robb. It's been a while since I've done one of these, so buckle up. It's going to be a good show. I'm really excited. Today I am going to be drinking some New Belgium Voodoo Ranger IPA. Check that out. I got it at my local Circle K because that was the only thing opened, and I made it just in time, which is super cool. So on the website, they say to use a glass like this. So that's what I got. I'm about to pour it up, and we'll get this show started. Oh yeah. Some might call that the perfect pour. I haven't always been a big IPA fan. Shout out to my boy Ethan Amrine. He got me into them, and I always find a way to mention him. So let's take the sniff test. It's real light and hoppy. It's got like grapefruit, almost like an orangish flavor to it. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna take a little sip. Now that's an IPA that I kind of like. I can get down with, because the thing I hate about IPAs is that like when you get that overwhelming hoppiness to it, I just can't really get into it too much. But this is subtle and sweet, and 7%, so that's something. Let's read a little bit of this. We got the citrus is comprised of orange and grapefruit. Okay, so grapefruit, yeah. Grassy and floral geraniol, and faint toasted bread malt note. Bread. I don't know. I'm not sure about the bread, but I'll take their word for it. All right, let's get into it. Tiger King is a phenomenon that few movies or like TV shows kind of get nowadays, because there's so many different series, there's so many different like streaming platforms. It took a combination of the current virus that we're in now, mixed with this show being dropped and just being such a wacky show, that turned it into what it became. It is a wild ride. It is a crazy, bizarre experience. You have to just go and let yourself feel all the absurdities until it becomes like a normal thing. It's kind of like when you watch The Office and like the things that Michael Scott does. Like my wife, it was kind of fun watching her watch The Office for the first time because there were certain things where she's like, what? Like he can't do that. And then as the series goes on, she's like, of course, Michael Scott did this. So like as you watch and as the show progresses, the things that like Joe Exotic does, or like the people that he's associated with and the kind of community that surrounds this exotic creature ownership, it draws a certain type of person to that world. So you kind of get used to it over time, and every episode you have more questions than answers. I kind of went into podcast land, listened to stuff, trying to make sense of everything. But for those of you who have been living under a rock, Tiger King is a documentary style show, and it chronicles this underground world of exotic pet ownership, and they're focusing on tigers because there are more tigers in captivity than there are in the wild. It's a question of the ethics behind like private ownership of these exotic animals and what you should do with them, how you should protect them. Should you leave them alone? Should you be involved with them on a physical level? Should you let people come in and pet them? How does that kind of business model work in America? Everybody likens it to Blackfish back, I forget what year that was, like early 2010s maybe, where the orcas at SeaWorld were being abused. Eventually it led to social change where like you can't go into a SeaWorld and pet an orca or set your kid on top of an orca. You can't do those things anymore because of that film. So I think these docu-series type films are awesome because they can create such change. It can break into the American ether and this kind of nebulous culture that we all kind of experience. If you want to go deeper into the Tiger King saga, there is a podcast called Joe Exotic Tiger King by Wandery. It kind of goes really in depth. There's a guy that was also kind of doing his own interviewing of all these characters separately from the people that did the documentary. So he asks different questions. He gets more long form interviews with, Carol Baskins and Jeff Lowe and Joe Exotic. In other news, let's talk about some internet fun stuff. Philip DeFranco, he runs the Philip DeFranco Show on YouTube. It's a great channel. Right now he's been doing a video kind of every day, except for this past week. He took a week off reporting on events that are going on around the world. You can get kind of bogged down and very depressed from seeing all the negativity that's out there. He took a week off, which is hard for a lot of YouTubers to do, is to take a good chunk of time when people expect constant content every day or every other day. But I think it was good, and I'm excited that he is back at it, and I feel like that had done him a lot of good to be able to take that time away and spend time with his family and all that fun stuff, because there was some crazy stuff going on. And one of the first things that he reported on was Alex Jones. He's an interesting guy to say the least. I won't comment anything about what he stands for or anything. He says a lot of crazy stuff, and I won't even begin to get into it. I've heard his podcast with Joe Rogan, both of them, and then he did a bunch of other random podcasts. And once you get into that mode, you're like, I want to see what else this guy is saying. Like, what other crazy theories and weird stuff is coming out of his mouth. I guess he is still doing his show. I'm not sure how. Probably just streaming it on his website. But since he's been kicked off of pretty much all major social media platforms, on his show he said, and I checked the context, and like there's like a small chance that you can say that he was joking, but when he talks about it and gets very serious about it, what he was talking about was, if this event, I'll call it, if we have to continue social distancing and under a lockdown for longer, he was saying that he would eat his neighbors without even thinking about it. He was like, if it comes to that point where it's me and my daughters and I have to provide for them, I'll eat my neighbors. And you're like, what are you talking about, dude? What? Why would your first thought be cannibalism? them, dude. You can grow your own food. You probably have, he even said, he said, that's not gonna happen for like 2 years because I have my own food. I'm like, why are you even thinking about that, dude? Like, what? Why would you, what? No. Why? So, that was one weird thing that happened on the internet. And I don't expect it to be the last we heard of Alex Jones. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what other craziness comes out of his mouth. Anyways, let's talk about some cool things going on the internet. I feel like the generosity of people has kind of been brought to light in the last couple months. People on, especially Twitter, people that have money and have resources have been trying to, they either put on contests or pick, a certain number of people a day. Let's take Bill Pulte. He's a guy that gives out money professionally, is what I think. I don't know his whole story, but I follow him. It seems like every day he's giving out money to people. So, I don't know. But that's a good thing to do. The cool thing is people in the comments are helping people like that are putting out needs. They're like, hey, I need some groceries. I need diapers. And somebody else will come in and be like, hey, what's your PayPal? I'll send you some money for that. The cool thing about this whole situation is that you're seeing people that have want to give. And that's a really beautiful thing. Also, H3H3 Productions, they're giving away $100,000 and somebody gave them another $50,000 to give away. And they're gonna do that over 100 days. So I think they're up to 3 people a day. So if you need money, go follow them, and they do it every day. And they'll pick 3 people, and you might be lucky and win, I think, $500. David Dobrik also gave away a bunch of stuff like iPads and I don't even know what games. I don't play much games. Xbox, I guess. I don't know. PS5. What are we on now? I don't know. But he was giving a bunch of stuff away. It was really cool. They were all wearing masks. They were being safe about it. It was kind of a cool video to watch. Mr. Beast started a giant rock, paper, scissors competition with all the major YouTubers and influencers like Casey Neistat. We had David Dobrik, Guy Justine, like some other big YouTubers getting into it. They're going to donate money to big organizations that will help. We also had John Krasinski, good old Jim from The Office, and Jack Ryan. He started something called Some Good News. He is basically talking about all the good things that are going on in the world. He did a big prom. For people that missed prom, he had some big musical guests, and it was really cool. There's a young lady who wanted to go see Hamilton. Her tickets were canceled, and he brought together the entire original cast of Hamilton to do a choreographed song, and it was so crazy. I didn't see it coming. It was really awesome and really cool and nice touch, and he's been doing them pretty often. I hope he keeps it up. Let's get to favorite podcasts of the week. We'll try to do cool credit things. I don't know. As you guys know, I listen to a ton of podcasts. I work for Domino's and I deliver. I listen to podcasts pretty much all night. So I've been devouring certain podcasts that I started getting into. Number 1, H3H3 Productions. I found out about them through their Oliver Tree interview. I started listening to their podcast and watching it when I can. I just like their style. They always have really cool people on their show. They talk about funny things. They find like obscure videos that are funny to them and they talk about it. But then they also go above and beyond. They reach out to those people and like have dialogue and interesting things with them. And Ethan and Hila are just super fun people. They're kind of the people that you would like hang out with. Their whole crew is cool. We got Dan, Ian, Zach, how they've been interacting like with people that have been pessimistic again with their wanting to support people with the $100,000 over 100 days. People have been critical of them and they put out this big video about it. The more you watch, the more of the like inside jokes you get. And it's a cool podcast. The next one is Dissect podcast. It's with Cole Kushner. He does basically like breakdowns of albums. So he's done Kanye West. He's done Frank Ocean's Blonde. He's done Kendrick Lamar. Recently, his one that he's working on now is Lemonade by Beyonce. And so he's also not just doing the album, but the video that corresponded with the album. And he's going track by track and kind of breaking it down. All the albums that he's gone through are albums that I listen to pretty regularly. I've been excited to like have a new season of that. And then Disgraceland, they go through artists, musical artists that have done disgraceful things. It's like a quasi-fictionalized story. Some of it's, he takes some creative liberties to explain situations, but most of it's based in what happened in these mega artists' lives. So he kind of bent his rule, I think, because Joe Exotic, even though he didn't write or record or sing any of his songs, I guess he could still be considered maybe kind of like an artist. But he did an episode about Tiger King that was pretty fun to listen to, and he takes a couple liberties here and there, but he kind of weaves together the whole story. A nice little, I think, 45-minute episode. And then the worst year ever. It's probably a self-fulfilling prophecy, naming a podcast the worst year ever. And it's supposed to just talk about the upcoming election, but it's kind of evolved because this year has been just progressively crazy. They talk about way more things than politics now. It's kind of fun to listen to because each week they're just in awe of the craziness that 2020 has become. And then of course, the Wedding Workflow podcast. A shameless plug of my own. Me and my friends Carson and Tyler, we're all involved in the wedding industry in Northeast Ohio, and we started this podcast a few months ago. We're on episode 13. Well, we just put out episode 13. Our next one will be episode 14. Even with all the crazy stuff that's going on, we try to stay as consistent as we can. We've missed a couple weeks because of some health stuff and personal things. We're trying to keep it going, and we actually had some really cool places to record, so I'm excited to get back to that once everything kind of calms down. If you have a wedding coming up, or you know somebody that does, or you just want to listen to three guys talking about weddings, feel free to check out the Wedding Workflow podcast. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, all of those. Some of it's on YouTube, but I've been very lazy with the videos. I have them all. I haven't put them all together and edited them yet. So I'm hoping to start cranking those out. Getting back into it. Thursday with Adam Robb. I'll see you on the next one.